Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Big Bet, the sports wagering show from coast to coast and worldwide, highlighting the matchups, betting lines, and totals, and all you need to make the right decision. It's Big Bet, focusing our attention on the winning bet. Live from San Diego, it's Big Bet. And we welcome you on a Saturday morning, and no matter where you are, we're in San Diego. It's a beautiful morning that is on the horizon as we get into a Chamber of Commerce Sunday. And along the way we go, and we welcome you to the WS Radio Network. This is Big Bet along with Tommy D. I'm Felix Taverna. What a great afternoon of college football yesterday, Tommy D.
Yeah, great day, Felix. Unbelievable games galore. Oklahoma State, Texas, watching that one. Oregon, Stanford, UCLA, and a big comeback. I know you asked me about that one. Big comeback. But overall, college football, great day yesterday. We saw some games. Georgia, Notre Dame keeping it close. And our man Bob Hutton will get on a little bit. His play of the day came in big yesterday.
Wisconsin just rolled over Michigan. We go out to Matty B at 8:02 on a Sunday morning, live from Big Bet Studios. Matty B, what's going on?
Fellas, I had a great day as far as my picks, except for my old home state of Michigan. The only two games I got wrong yesterday were in my home state of Michigan. I thought the Michigan Wolverines would bring a hell of a lot more fire than they brought against Wisconsin. That absolutely was not the case. And my Spartans happily proved me wrong as they rolled all over Northwestern to show they had a little bit of fire left in them. But the game of the game of the night was the capper of all of the night. UCLA coming from 32 points down against Washington State. How about this? You are Washington State's quarterback, and you throw for nine touchdowns, and it's not enough because your team has 6 giveaways, including the final one, the sack, losing the football. UCLA dives on it, and they can kneel out the clock. Chip Kelly may have actually found his guy in DTR, a.k.a. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who acclaimed for 7 touchdowns of his own, 5 in the air, 2 with his legs. A phenomenal game. If you stayed up to watch it, good for you because you saw the game of the year in college football.
Without any doubt about that. What games were you on, Matty B, that you thought that, you patted yourself on the back as he wins a race yesterday, pat on the back. Where'd you pat yourself on the back when you realized that you were going to be in a winning mode in one of your selections?
I started off the weekend early on Friday. I had the USC Trojans over Utah, in the covering that spread and flat out winning. I had Boise State covering against Air Force, and that just happened at the end of the fourth quarter. Thank you very much, Broncos. But that got the weekend going for me. But the big one was obviously Notre Dame and Georgia, where there was all this talk, all the Notre Dame talk, 14.5-point spread. And I said, I understand that they don't have a great rushing defense, but they're going to have enough pride to not get their butts handed to them in Athens, and they did. They fought hard. They almost stole that game, and that was a really good one. And then the other one that I liked that I was proud of was Auburn. I saw Auburn going into A&M and winning that game outright as well as covering that spread. But how about you and your Pittsburgh Panthers not only covering the spread but taking down the UCF Knights, Felix?
Yeah, they were denied a week ago up at Nittany Park against Penn State, and they came back home and had to use a pit. What was the play called? A Philly special when they used it in the Super Bowl?
Special? Did they call this?
Yeah, they called this one the pit special. Yeah, Tommy D.
It looked like a knuckleball.
Yeah, it did. It looked like I was really confused. Auburn remains unbeaten. Texas and Oklahoma State was a good game. You're right about the Washington State. I went to bed. I figured, okay, this game is over. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I see that the Bruins rallied 67-63 after being down, as you mentioned, mentioned, 49-17 in the third quarter of play. There were some other good games. Ohio State just showing no mercy on anybody they played. They just blitzed. Miami of Ohio got a safety to lead 2-0. That was the best it was going to get for them because they get beat 75-6, Tommy D. Clemson having no problems with Charlotte. As you mentioned, Michigan State beats a hapless, no-offense Northwestern team. And, talking about the Georgia-Notre Dame game, I'm not a big Chip Kelly fan, Tommy D and Matty B. I'm not a big, Brian Kelly fan. I'm not a big Brian Kelly fan. I thought the play calling at the end of the first half was atrocious. He burned 2 of his 3 timeouts early in the second half, only having 1 timeout remaining. And, they couldn't stop the Georgia quarterback on third down. He made some big plays, but they found themselves in a position to win that football game where they had a chance because they had their hands on the ball, Tommy D.
Yeah, Notre Dame keeping it close. Everyone, disrespecting Notre Dame in this game, but Georgia played tough and obviously the winner in this game, and Notre Dame in it the whole way. Another game that caught my eye, Arizona State gets ranked and then they lose to Colorado 34-31. That was a disappointing loss. And then we talked about Old Dominion. How about Old Dominion keeping it close against Virginia yesterday?
They sure did.
Number 121 ranked. So overall, it's always fun watching college football. You never know what's gonna happen each week.
Old Dominion, 28.5-point dog, and maybe more. I watched a little bit of that Colorado-Arizona State game. Colorado jumped on them real fast, and everybody's talking about 5 Pac-12 teams in the top 25. Well, they won't be there next week because Utah will probably drop, and so will Arizona State. Let's go out to our man who had a 5-star play on the Badgers yesterday against the Michigan Wolverines. Harbaugh just looked pitiful on the sidelines. His teams even looked worse. His team looked worse, both sides of the football. Wisconsin, 28-0 at halftime, extend the lead to 35-zip, and then 2 late scores by Michigan. It was all over at that point, 35-14. Bob Hutton joining us on Big Bet on this Sunday. Hut, at top of the morning, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. The score is not an indication of how bad of a beatdown it was, though. I mean, they really manhandled them. And Michigan looks like a team that's got no identity. They don't know what to do. And Wisconsin is strong on both sides of the ball. The only time they'll have problem if they run into a team that's just extremely fast. But I don't think you can beat this team between the tackles. They're so big, and defensively they looked pretty good yesterday too. So that didn't surprise me. As you know, I thought Wisconsin would lay a licking on them.
All right, let's go to the board here. Broncos and the Packers, the Lions and the Eagles, the Ravens and the Chiefs, the Bengals and the Bills. Atlanta travels to Indianapolis. The Raiders travel to Minnesota. The Jets go to New England. Miami goes to Dallas. The Giants go on the road to Tampa Bay. Arizona hosts Carolina. The Seahawks play the Saints at home. The Los Angeles Chargers are at home against the Houston Texans. The Steelers are on the road to the 49ers. And then the 5 o'clock game tonight, the Rams travel to Cleveland to play the Browns. Let's go to the board here. We'll give you all real-time, up-to-the-minute odds and changes. Totals will be a part of it. Let's go to game number 1, the Broncos and the Packers. This kicks it off. The Packers are at home. They're 7-point favorite over the Broncos, 41.5. Bob Hutton, any appeal to you at all?
None on this game. I just Denver could keep it close, but Green Bay's so good at home. Their defense is stepped up this year. I don't like this game at all. It's and after the Minnesota game, I don't know if Green Bay will be a little bit of a letdown, but the Broncos are just so vanilla that I couldn't play them and I couldn't play against them, so I've got real no interest in the game.
Any opinion, Tommy D? Denver Green Bay?
You know, Aaron Rodgers has something in his eye this year. He looks really good on the field. I know that first week against the Bears, but I like Green Bay at home, as Bob Hutton said. You know, at Lambeau Field, the crowd's going to be going crazy. I think Green Bay wins by more than 7.
I usually would go to Bob Hutton for this one, but I'll go to Matty B. The Detroit Lions go into the city of brotherly love.
Oh.
Hey, the Lions. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard, Bob Hutton released the Lions last weekend on this radio program, and the Lions went out and won. Hey, it's a national holiday for Matty B. The Detroit Lions have won a game. What do you think?
No.
What do you mean?
The Chargers went out and lost. The Chargers went out and lost. The Lions didn't go out and win. The Chargers went out and had penalties that took away back-to-back touchdown plays, and one of which was very questionable. That block in the back was not a block in the back. The Chargers should have won that game, and if they had their kicker that was healthy, they would have won that game. The Lions didn't win that game. The Chargers lost that game. Let's be fair.
All right. The Philadelphia Eagles open up at 7. The total 49.5. This game is now 4. Real-time odds. It's right at 4, 4.5 some places. 45 is the total, so that's dropped. Something's going on here. Matty B, got an opinion? Your Lions, can they win 2 in a row, or can the Eagles give them another win like the Chargers did?
Well, with Alshon Jeffrey out, and there's some other receiver issues right now with Philadelphia and health, I can see why the numbers would drop as far as the offensive output that they're expecting from Philly. I don't trust this Lions team outdoors on the road from years past, and what I've seen, I have no reason to trust them. So no, I got the Eagles in this one.
Tommy D.
You know what? Eagles, I think, having issues. I believe Deshaun Jackson's out, too. I don't really love this game, but I think it's going to be tough. I think Eagles are a great team if they're healthy. Carson Wentz, I like him at quarterback and running the team. But, yeah, I'm going to pass on this one.
All right. Bobby Hutton, the Lions.
Jeffries and Jackson are out, and I think that's why you've seen the total and the number dip as far as that's concerned. The Lions are they kind of remind me of Denver a little bit. I think the reason the numbers dropped is because they just think that the Eagles won't generate enough offense to go ahead and cover that number with those two guys out. I don't like the game. It's just not appealing to me.
Bob Hutton, Ravens versus the Chiefs in Kansas City. Opened up at 5, 51.5. It's now 5 and 51.5. There has been no movement on the line at all week long. This is a game I have an interest in. How do you see it, Bob?
Well, that's on Monday the line opened at 6.5, and it's down to 4.5 now. Hill's out for Kansas City. The Ravens so far have played probably two of the worst teams in Arizona and Miami. So their 2-0 record is probably a little bit overrated as far as that's concerned. Jackson's played well at quarterback for him, but I'm still suspect on his passing ability. I think the Chiefs here at home are probably the right spot. I wouldn't go crazy over it, but the 4.5, and everybody's seems to be piling on the Ravens here because of, and I assume because Hill's out, but they've got other skill players. So I think the Chiefs go ahead and get it done at home today.
What about the total, 51.5? You have an opinion in the under or the over in this game?
No, not really. No, it's with Hill being out, I just don't know how much he's going to be able to stretch the field as far as that's concerned. And I do believe that Kansas City's defense, they did help it out in the offseason with some free agents, but it's not very appealing to 52.
All right. The Bills and the Bengals. The Bills and the Bengals. The Bengals and the Bills. The Bengals go to Buffalo. We want to say hello to Frank in Buffalo. They love their Bills in Buffalo. Tommy D, it's a big game. The Bills are 2-0. The Bengals are trying to find their identity, as Bob Hutton said about Michigan, that has no identity. The the Cincinnati Bengals don't have an identity either. What do you think about this game? 2-0 versus 1-0-2.
Well, A.J. Green not back yet. He's soon to be back. That's going to be a big part. Cincinnati wants to get their best player back, one of their best players. But saying that, the Bills at home, I like their chances. Allen feeling good in Buffalo. A lot of good talk in Buffalo. the Buffalo Bill backers are all jacked up because the Bills have a chance to maybe make the playoffs because of the weak division. You got the Jets and the Dolphins 2 games. And, yeah, you got to face the Patriots, but maybe you could sneak into the wild card. But Buffalo's all jacked up on their team this year, Felix. So I like the Bills here. I think they're going to win by more than 6. I think the line's at 6.5. It opened up at 4. So I'll be going with the Bills today at home.
Matty B, what do you think about the Bills and Bengals? Bengals and the Bills.
I think neither team is great, but I think the Bills are better than the Bengals. The Bengals they're definitely missing A.J. Green. They still don't have anything great offensively. Andy Dalton, we know what he is. He's a decent quarterback. He's a serviceable quarterback, but you're not winning much with him. And on the road, I'm not expecting much from the Bengals.
All right. Bobby Hutton, Bengals and the Bills.
The Bengals are limping into Buffalo today with a lot of interior line issues on the offense and defensive side of the ball. The Bills' defense is very, very underrated and I believe is very good as far as the speed they have on the defensive side of the football. I think the Bengals are in big trouble today. The Bills are undefeated in New York this year. They won 2 games. Actually in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. But they're tough at home. The home opener, Tommy said that Allen's, he's playing with a lot of confidence. I like this team today. I think this team's going to cover the number, and they're going to go to 3-0.
What about the total, 43.5? Seems a little low for Buffalo. Are they sort of forcing you to bet the over in this game?
I think the concern is that with Cincinnati's offensive line issues and with Buffalo's defense, that Cincinnati's not going to be able to score that many points. And in last week against the 49ers, they proved they scored a late touchdown. They gave them 17, but they go through the game sometimes. Felix they'll go 2 quarters without scoring a point. So I think it's more that they question if Cincinnati is going to be able to generate any consistent offense in this game.
4 down, 10 to go here on this slate. September 22nd, week number 3 of the NFL. You're listening to Big Bet with Tommy D, Bobby Hutton, Matty B, Wade Taylor. We are doing it live from the WS Radio Network. If you're losing, you're not listening on the Big Bet radio show here every Saturday and Sunday morning. Want to shout out to our friends down there at the Broken Yoke, 15 San Diego locations from downtown, Mission Valley, Eastlake, San Diego State, Del Mar, Carlsbad, San Marcos, Mira Mesa, all over. 15 locations for mimosas and the best eggs Benedict in town. It's the Broken Yoke Cafe. 15 San Diego locations throughout our great city. Now we go to the Atlanta Falcons, Indianapolis Colts. This is an interesting game. Bob, you've been on the Colts for a while now prior to the season. You said that after Andrew Luck did retire that the Colts might not lose that much because their offensive line is the best in the game. We go 1.5 here. This game opened up 2.5. Indianapolis 2.5. Now has gone to 1.5. Colts are favored by 1.5. 47.5. Down 0.5 point from the opening line. Atlanta, Indianapolis. This is an interesting matchup. How do you see this, Bob Hutton?
Well, I see this. It's not a game that I loved on the slate. I like it a little bit. The big question for Indy today is that Mack and Hilton are a little banged up, but they're supposed to play. And I think the key here for me is to bet against the Falcons in this spot. I don't think Matt Ryan looks the same as he did. He just looks slow. He looks like he's on his last legs as far as the NFL is concerned. I'm not real impressed with his ability to lead that team like he did 3 or 4 years ago. I think this Indy team is once again, Felix, grossly underrated. Great offensive line play to go ahead and offset because the Falcons have a very good defensive line. They rush the passer, but he's going to get time today. And if Indy can run the ball like they have, because they've run the ball pretty effectively so far, I think they win this game at home. So I give the slight edge to the Colts. I'm not a big fan of Atlanta. The one issue I think it's probably favors them is they are playing on AstroTurf. If they were playing outside, I'd really like Indy. But in this spot, I lean towards Indy a little bit because I just don't think Matt Ryan's the same quarterback he used to be.
Yeah, Bob, I agree. I kind of, barely sneaking by last week. The Falcons, Colts are solid 11-5 against the spread against the NFC, so looking probably pretty solid. And the Falcons go the opposite way, 10 consecutive or against the spread losses in the outside of their conference. So saying that, the Colts look to be a good play here. And they're going home to play homecoming for the first time this season. And I think the Colt fans are jacked up. I think that they're a little bit more excited than they thought after Andrew Luck retirement because this Brissett quarterback, he could play.
Jacoby Brissett's a good quarterback, and I think that Bob Hutton nailed it right on the head when he said that the offensive line, if you have an offensive line, that's 50% of the battle right there. You can have Matty B back there at quarterback, and, he'll have time to throw. The Falcons and the Colts, Matty B, this is a game that I think that could be high-powering. It could be a high-scoring affair. Only week number 3. How do you chop it down, Matty B?
I think we all know the situation with the Colts, obviously. Phenomenal offensive line, their quarterback play. All of a sudden it's no longer Luck, and Jacoby Brissett's getting his chance, sat behind Tom Brady for a couple of years. No one better to learn from, and he's definitely proven that he can take over the job. As far as Matt Ryan and that offense with the Falcons, the running game has not been there so far to start the year. You lost Coleman over to the 49ers, who was a great backup, but really you didn't feel like you lost much when he came in. And they haven't really established a ground game much so far this year. He has offensive weapons to throw to, obviously one of the best in the business in Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley is coming to his own. They still have Mohamed Sanu. So he has the weapons to throw to, and the fact that they are playing indoors on AstroTurf, which is what they're used to in Atlanta, I actually do like the Falcons in this situation just because of the Colts and still the fact that I'm still not sure about the Colts yet. I understand Brissett's been good so far to start the year, but I think it's going to get more and more where you get some more tape on him as a starter. You start learning his tendencies a little bit more and more. And I think with the defense that they can bring and the weapons that Matt Ryan does have offensively through the air, I haven't given up on Matt Ryan quite like Bob Hutton has. So I do like the Falcons in this situation.
Yeah, I did notice Matt Ryan didn't look as sharp as he has in previous years. They have not been the same since that dramatic loss in the Super Bowl. That's right. That's exactly right.
That took their soul.
They just have never recovered after that bad beat. And the Colts, I like Jacoby Brissett, and I always have. And I think that this is gonna be a high scoring affair. I really do. I think it's going over the number. That's my opinion. Raiders in Minnesota. Tommy, do you have any opinion in regard?
If I had to take somebody, I'd take Minnesota. I don't like this Oakland team. I think Minnesota at home. The line started -7, now -9. Minnesota's offense, I love their offense. I think they're just going to be able to outscore Oakland, and their defense is going to be able to hold them in check a little bit. -9's the line. If I had to go somewhere, I would go Minnesota.
All right, Minnesota lost to Green Bay last weekend, and so they should be really focused this weekend against Raiders, and they're overlooking anybody at this point. What do you think, Bob Hutton, in regard? Raiders, Vikings.
Yeah, and the Raiders showed last week, even against Kansas City, that gave up a lot of points against Jacksonville the prior week. They've got issues on the outside. When they lost, their whole thing this year was to have Antonio Brown and to have that talent on the outside. And right now, he doesn't have a lot of guys to throw to as far as that's concerned. And this Minnesota team's very good at home. Cook has showed last week that he's starting to have a breakout season for Minnesota. The ex-Florida State running back. And as long as Cousins, one of the big things in Minnesota right now is everybody's saying, why do we pay this guy so much money? He hasn't probably lived up to the hype that he, as far as his paycheck reflects. But Minnesota at home in a game, they can't go. If they go 1-2, that's going to be a real problem for them because Green Bay's probably going to win that game today. I see Minnesota probably covering this number and laying the wood on Oakland today.
All righty. The Jets and the Patriots. Matty B, blackjack, 21. That's the spread in this game. the Patriots, I mean, we've seen what the Jets have brought the first couple of weeks. It's not very much. Is this line underrated, overrated, overinflated, or underinflated in regard to 21 for the Patriots, with the total being 43?
It's underrated because the Pats have done nothing to show you otherwise. They've beaten the crap out of the Steelers and the Dolphins. They've put up a ton of points and given up basically no points. And so what you've seen from the Jets, who really didn't show too much life as far as putting points on the board at Cleveland last week, I don't know why you would think otherwise. You know, Luke Falk making his first real start. They showed all the, I don't know if anyone saw the cute little stats of the comparisons with Tom Brady, pick 199, the age, going up against a legendary quarterback for your first start, all that crap. Great, maybe Luke Falk becomes that eventually. He ain't that right now. Le'Veon Bell can only do so much. He will be very much involved in this game in the running and passing, absolutely. But, I mean, come on now. This is Tom Brady loaded up with weapons up and down the line. Philip Dorsett has come up huge for the Pats all of a sudden. He's been with this team for a while and is really starting to come into his own. They are not going to miss Antonio Brown. They have every weapon they could possibly need in the running game, in the passing game. Defensively, they look phenomenal, and there's no reason to think otherwise today against the Jets Jets.
All right, we're halftime here. We're halfway through. You have an opinion, Tommy D?
Well, no, I was just going to say that, you know, the Jets are playing with Luke Falk as their quarterback. Their main quarterback's out with mono, so I think they're going to be an uphill battle here. That's, I think, going to be a big play here. They're playing with their third-string quarterback here.
He's from Washington State, is he not?
I'm not quite sure about that, but I think he's going to have an uphill battle today.
All right, he's from Washington State. This Washington State, they breed quarterbacks. We were talking a little bit earlier, Bob. I don't know if you were on yet, but that Washington State quarterback threw for 9 touchdowns, and then the UCLA
wasn't enough.
No, it wasn't enough. I mean, when do you ever have to think that you have to throw 10 touchdowns to win against UCLA in a year like this? But that was a pretty. I'm still in shock because it was like 49-17 in the third quarter. I turned it off and woke up, and I thought I was hearing things when I heard the girls say, "What a dramatic comeback in the Pac-12!" And I thought,
yeah,
maybe,
you know what, Felix, too. Yeah, regarding that too, it reminded me when they showed the fans in the stands when they were up 42-17, or 49-17, and the fans, they were all hugging each other and laughing and having fun. And then at the end of the game, they showed the fans, and they weren't so happy. And it reminded me of when the Democrats thought they were going to win the election, and then everybody went to sleep, and Trump won, the faces on all the Democrats. So the people in Washington were pretty shocked last night that took place. And you got to tip your hat. I don't want to change gears on you too much, but God, UCLA looked like a different team in the second half last night. They torched them. You know, it was unbelievable. I watched most of the game. It was shocking.
It's unbelievable. I mean, you're feeling pretty good if you got Washington State at 49-17, don't you think? You're feeling like you're ready to light up a cigar. All right, we've gone through half the slate. Broncos, Packers, Lions, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Falcons, Colts, Raiders, Vikings, Jets, Patriots. First, you, Tommy D. Out of those first half games, is there any one game that you want to put your release out on Big Bet on this Sunday?
The Bills. I'm back in the Bills, baby. Right. Buffalo.
Frank in Buffalo. Tommy D says the Bills -6.5.
Yeah, and if you're ever in Buffalo, guys, I got to tell you, Anchor Bar is the original, but you got to go to Duff's to get good chicken wings. Frank knows what I'm talking about.
Duff's chicken wings. We could use some right now. How about a Philly cheesesteak, too? You got any of those over there?
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo?
Oh, Buffalo's got some great food.
All right. Matty B., the 7 games we talked about, the first half of the slate on this September the 22nd, week number 3 of the NFL. What do you have?
Exactly what you just said. Philly cheesesteaks. Go to Ishkabibbles, Jim's, or Pat's, or Geno's. You really can't go wrong either way down there in Philly. The Lions, I think, are in trouble. It's outdoors. The Lions are not great playing outdoors. I don't see it yet from this team offensively. The O-line did a great job last week against Bosa and Gordon, but I don't see them continuing that trend and I think the Eagles are going to be out for blood in this game.
All right, so you like the Eagles minus the 4. Bobby Hutton, the same question for you. Tommy D likes the Bills. Matty B likes the Eagles. Out of the first 7 games that we talked about, the first half of this 14-game slate in the NFL, week number 3, who do you like?
Well, I'm gonna back Tommy on this. I like the Bills today. Those first games we talked about, I think the Bills at home today is the homecoming, and you're playing against a banged up Cincinnati team is the 6.5. I think is a pretty good number to take a risk with.
All right, good job, guys. All right, let's go to the second half here. 9:30 on a Sunday morning, or 8:30 on a Sunday morning. We're live in San Diego. We welcome you no matter where you are. We are here live in the WS radio networks of San Diego, and we're happy that we could bring you along here on this Sunday morning. Week number 3, the games, the first half of the games. I don't know if I have a betting interest in any one of the 7 that we talked about, so let's pick it up with number 8, Tommy D. Your Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys. That's right. I said your Miami Dolphins visit the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are 22-point favorites, up from 17 opening line. The total 47. This has dropped 46.5. So the Cowboys are 22 over your Dolphins. What do you think?
You know what, Felix? I was going to wear my Dan Marino jersey to the studio this morning.
Wishing you would.
And I was going to drive to the studio with a paper bag on my head to get reaction to be everybody. That's how it feels to be a Dolphin fan this year. Unfortunately, we are the worst team in the NFL. And you know what? I don't expect us to get any better. Anytime the Dolphins are playing, I would probably go against them. And I'm sorry to say to all my Fins fans, this is the most disappointing year in my entire life. It's hard to be a Dolphins fan, first of all. Since I've been born, I've been a Dan Marino fan. My dad brought me into being a Dan Marino fan. You're a Pittsburgh player, a quarterback guy. And I've been a Dolphin fan. And now my son, Luca, now we're at a decision what team he's going to like. And I don't want him to like the Dolphins, Felix, because you know what? They're just bad, and I don't see them getting better anytime soon. Yeah, they're going to build, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah, Luca, we got together last Sunday. Luca told me he kind of likes the Raiders, and I said, no.
Pushing for the Rams right now.
Could you imagine your son at age 6 with some Raider tattoos on his arm, coming home, hey, Daddy, I just beat the guy up. All right.
Hey, look good in the Tim Brown jersey.
Let me tell you something. Luca, Tommy D showed me this picture, this recital. And this kid was maybe about 2 or 3 years older than him. And this kid was in his face, and he was bothering him. He was preventing Luca. And so he pushed Luca. And Luca just drilled this guy, pushed him right back. And the guy looked at him and said, hey, I better not mess with this kid because this kid's pretty tough. He didn't take any crap, just like his Papa Bear sitting left side here on Big Bet Sports. Luca Bear, top of the morning. You are my man out there listening to Daddy on the radio, and we welcome you. And hope that you're eating all your oatmeal on this Sunday. Let's go back to the games here. Miami, Dallas, it looks like this could be, a real stunner. Bob Hutton, do you give Miami Dolphins any chance against the Cowboys?
I'm sorry, Tommy, but no, I just I can't do it. And I guess, and I would ask probably Maddie on this, or even Felix on this, that have we ever seen in a pro game on one slate where 2 teams are underdogs by 20 or more? I don't think it's ever happened in the history of the game.
No, matter of fact, I thought. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Felix.
No, I was just going to endorse what you said. I thought about that when I was going down the slate. I can't ever recall. Been doing this for a long time. Never recall seeing 2 teams, let alone one versus 2.
Right.
You get one last week maybe, or whatever the Patriots were last week against the Jets or whoever they played, Miami, and this is 22. This is 22 in some place.
And you'd have to ask yourself on both of these games, Felix, because I didn't get to throw my input on the Jets game, but that's fine. You'd have to ask on both of them because they're both the same way. How could you, with a good conscience, bet on the Jets or the Dolphins today, even with 20.5 and 22. How could you even how could you pull that trigger?
No, you can't.
you couldn't do it.
No, and basically that's why I didn't go to the Jets and Patriots for you, because I figured it was just a waste of time, and like this just wouldn't interest you, being your pal for a long time and knowing how your mindset worked. By the way, you were perfect 5-0 last Sunday on this radio program. Tommy D had the winner. I had a winner. I think I had a winner. And Matty B, I don't think you've had a winner in the pros this season yet, have you?
Not for my best bet, no. No, that was my best bet last week.
Have you had any winners in the NFL on this radio program yet? Because somebody's been texting me saying, like, you're 0 for 10.
What?
I don't think I'm 0 for 10. I think that's a little...
Hold on, Felix. Come on. Be nice to Matty B
We're
today.
We're going to pull the tape here, Tommy.
Right.
Be nice to Matty B.
Tommy, I can't believe I'm actually asking this as a legitimate question, but Tommy, I have a legitimate question for you. Are the Dolphins going to go 0-16?
There's a good chance, but they got the Jets twice, so they got an opportunity to beat the Jets. That's going to be the game that we're going to be talking about when that game comes. Jets-Dolphins, guys, that's going to be the game of the week.
Week 8.
They're going to tie.
Week
It's
8.
a toilet bowl.
Week
They're going
8.
to both tie. They're going to tie both games. No losses, no wins, but they're both going to tie.
That'd be crazy.
Week 8. Dolphins at Pittsburgh. Monday Night Football. Should be just a...
You picking the Dolphins to win that?
I don't even think anybody's going to be watching this game. I mean, Thursday night game.
Mason, you guys are fine. You got Mason Rudolph. Like, everyone's
we'll
guy
get to,
set like 500 records at Oklahoma State. He's going to be fine back there.
We'll get to that. We will get to that without any doubt and all. And I want to tell you that got a whole lot of football left in this campaign. Here's a doozy. Oh, Bob, I can't wait to throw this one out to you. The Giants and the Buccaneers, Tampa Bay, 5.5. I mean, the two worst teams in the league are in one state. I think the Jets are worse than Miami, and I think the Giants are worse than both of them. So the Giants at the Buccaneers, what do you have in regard? This is an afternoon game going 1 o'clock our time.
Well, the Giants are they're making the move to Jones today, and I don't think how they've played so far is an indication of Eli Manning. I just don't think they have a very good team. I think Barkley's I think he's a fantastic athlete and a great player. You just wonder how long he's going to take before he gets frustrated in that situation. But the reason the Tampa Bay Bucks here at home. They lost to San Francisco the first week, and they threw some picks, and it was what I understand in reading all about the game is they more or less threw that game away than San Francisco beat them. I think this Tampa Bay team is defensively better. I think they're better coached. They showed the other night against the Carolina Panthers. They just outplayed them, and defensively they look pretty sharp. And I think the Giants are going to have once again, a tough game today, and I think 5 is pretty generous for Tampa, only laying 5 points. I like the Bucks here in this spot, Felix.
All right, it's gone 5.5, Bob. Afternoon game, Giants, Buccaneers, Tommy D.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the quarterback start for the Giants, so we'll see. But I think it's a tall task going into Tampa. James Winston, not the best quarterback. He's like Jekyll and Hyde. One day he looks good, and the next day he looks awful.
No, really?
Yeah, could you believe that? So we'll see. Today might be that day that he might be on the right side against this Giants team that looks struggling. And Golden Tate coming back next week or the week after will help the Giants a little bit, but they're still a struggling team.
James Winston needs to find some crab legs, doesn't he, Matty B?
All right. First and foremost, I had the Packers over the Vikings last week, so that was a win, number one. Number two, it doesn't matter who you throw a quarterback right now for the Giants because their O-line is god-awful. They have no weapons offensively besides Saquon Barkley. So while bringing in Daniel Jones when really you should have done this to start the year, you should have let Eli go somewhere else as opposed to this embarrassment that you've done now through 2 games. Oh, you've got 2 games to show us something with no offensive line and no wide receivers to throw to, no Shepard, no Golden Tate, and you're going to put that on Eli's back? No, this is not Eli's fault that this team is 0-2. They have a terrible O-line. They are not a good football team. The Bucs are a mediocre football team, and when a mediocre football team plays a bad football team, I'm going to put my money on the mediocre football team, so I will take the Bucs in this one.
All right. I don't know what to make of the Carolina Panthers and the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe somebody else could chime in and say yay or nay or no opinion, but it's pretty hard to have an opinion on this game, Tommy D. Carolina and the Cardinals are underdog, or the Carolina Panthers opened up as a favorite at 3.5. Now this game has gone Arizona 2.5. The total 45. So the Panthers just don't have it. Cardinals, I don't know. Is this an over game at 45? What's your take? What's your feel, Tommy D?
Yeah, Carolina, I've watched a couple games, and they look bad this year. Cam Newton has just not been Cam Newton. And, being out this week against Arizona, I don't love this game, but I think this might be a chance for Arizona to get a win here. Kyler Murray is a big-time player. They'll be at home, so this might be an opportunity for them to get that win, squeak by. I think it should be a close game, but I don't love it either way. But Kyler Murray might be able to pull it off today.
All right. I'm not going to ask you, Bob Hutton or Matty B, about this game because I don't want to waste any time with this game.
No, it's not wasted.
Well, I've got something.
Well, wait a minute. Well, why don't you guys
like it?
Why don't you guys all talk at one time? Okay, everybody will all talk at one time.
La 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 la.
All right. All right, so who wants to go first? Are you guys all of a sudden, you like this game?
Well, I wanted to bring up a point as far as the Panthers are concerned. Kyle Allen's going to be the quarterback today, and so I maybe other people did it too. I looked him up. I said, "Who's Kyle Allen?" Kyle Allen, he committed to A&M, then he decommitted, then he went to Houston, and he played quarterback for there. But he played at Desert Mountain, the same high school this kid from USC that got hurt the other night, the quarterback came from. So this guy's playing in front of his family this weekend. This is a big deal for this kid. That's the only thing I wanted to say. I think the kid they think he's going to be pretty good. Newton looked horrible last week. He looks like he just looks like he's been beat up for years. He wouldn't run the ball anymore. He just, before he used to take off and gain 15 yards. That's not in his game plan anymore. And we know he's not a pure pocket passer. But, they might be better off this week, Carolina, without him playing, with this other kid playing. So I don't know. If the points got up to 3, I might take Carolina in this spot.
All right. Matty B, all of a sudden you woke up. Do you have an opinion in regard?
Well, you got a fun story here where you got two rookie quarterbacks that are former teammates, because Murray and Allen were teammates at Texas A&M for a brief minute, and then Allen went on to Houston, as Bob said. So that's fun. And yeah, like Bob said, this kid's coming home, and with Cam having the foot injury, that's why he's not running. The shoulder injury, that's why he's not throwing. So he's definitely out for some time. And the Panthers, I've always had questions with this team. This team is so Jekyll and Hyde, and I think you're going to see Kyler Murray get his first win of his young career. He has played well enough in the first 2 games of the season, thrown for a bunch of yards. This is a new age of quarterback style here, where you got to be able to move around. This kid can move around. I think this is going to be a more enjoyable game than people are giving it credit for.
All right, Saints and Seahawks are the next game. This game opened up as New Orleans -1. This game has now gone to Seattle -4.5. They play home to the New Orleans Saints. Seattle took care of Pittsburgh last weekend. The Saints and the Seahawks without Drew Brees, Bob Hutton. How do you see this one? Do you have any interest in this game?
Well, in watching the Rams and New Orleans play last week, the Saints the game might have been a little bit different when they had the refs blew it on that fumble call, and he was going to run back for a touchdown. So the Saints defensively looked pretty good last week. I don't think they I think the fact that Drew Brees got hurt and then Teddy Bridgewater got thrown into the mix, I think he's better than that as far as Bridgewater, what he showed the other day. I think they'll play within the number today. The Seattle team, they struggled against Cincinnati at home. They beat Pittsburgh. We were all questioning why the Steelers were 4-point favorites last week. And I don't think this Pittsburgh team's that very good. Felix, you probably have a better line on that than I would. But I think the Saints, they're 1-1. Their backs against the wall. Everybody's writing them off now. I think this team will come out. They're well coached. I think they'll fight today. I think they'll play a tough game, and I look for them to play within the 5.
All right, Tommy D. Saints, Seahawks, baby.
I'm scared to go against Bob because he's been on fire, but I like the Seahawks here. Russell Wilson just running the game. Last week, at the end of the game, just knew how to get the game done. Got a couple first downs and secured the win for Seattle. And I expect the same at home here. I don't love this game, though, but if I had to take a side, I'd go with the Seahawks. All
righty. Matty B, any opinion in regard Saints, Seahawks here?
Yeah, whoever texted you trying to drag my name through the mud needs to go back and listen to the tape because I picked the Seahawks to flat-out win in Pittsburgh last week as my best bet, and they did. So I don't know who the heck is texting you.
Hold on 1 second. Cue up last Sunday show, Wade inside the studio for Matty B's pick. He says he's got Seattle versus Pittsburgh. Is that confirmed inside the studio through our Insta-type replay?
That was absolutely my best.
Yeah, it says that. Yep, you're right. Week. You're right. Matt, Wade just signaled up. Yep, he signaled it up. That's exactly right, Matty B. I apologize.
Thank you, Wade.
That was your first win of the year. Okay, so congratulations, and you've lost 5 straight since then.
I'll take it.
No, really, you've been really good. Your analysis has been very sharp, Matty B. Saints, Seahawks, what do you have?
This should be very interesting because, we saw Teddy thrown to the wolves. There's a reason the Saints paid a bunch of money to keep Teddy Bridgewater as their backup. Yes, they have Taysom Hill, and yes, Taysom Hill can do a lot of different things, but he is not a traditional quarterback in that sense of the word. And while neither is Teddy, he's closer to it. And so I think we're going to see a much better game out of Teddy Bridgewater, first of all. I think we're going to see Taysom Hill used in this offense to throw the Seahawks off in different ways. But this is tough sledding. Going to Seattle is not the same thing as going to Seattle 5 years ago, but it's still a very tough place to play. And the Saints without Drew Brees, it's really hard to have that much confidence in them. You're going to have to get a lot out of Alvin Kamara. You're going to have to get a lot out of that receiving core to help out this quarterback grouping. I think it's going to be a very entertaining game. I'm curious to see how they're going to utilize Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater in this game. Obviously, Bridgewater's getting the start. If the number was Seattle 3, I would feel good picking Seattle. Seattle 5, 4.5, 5. That's a tough one to pick on this one. I personally wouldn't touch this game just because I don't know what we're going to get from the quarterback play, but I think this is going to be a very good game.
Smart man. Texas and the Chargers, Tommy D, up the road here at Carson, California. Chargers opened up 3.5. Chargers are banged up without any question. They play the Texans. Chargers coming in as a 3-point favorite, 48.5. Not a lot of breathing room for the Chargers. What's your take?
Yeah, I don't really love this game. I'm going to pass on this one. Don't really care for either one. The Chargers are just 3-9 against the spread against North Division. But, Texas looking pretty good, 8-3-1 against the spread overall. So maybe against the stats, I'd go with Houston, but I'm passing.
All right, Bob Hutton, Texans, Chargers.
Yeah, if I had to take a side
Carson.
in this game, and this is and the Chargers are, we know that they're the home field advantage they have is not really a home field advantage when they play in L.A. Deshaun Watkins is going to cause them problems today. I like the Houston in this spot, especially if you can get 3.5. I think Houston played, and they probably played a underrated Jacksonville team at home last week and barely got by them. But Jacksonville showed they could play. They looked pretty good on Thursday night. And so I think Houston in this spot today will probably be the right side as far as I think it's going to be a very close game, so I'd rather take the points.
The Chargers do not play in Los Angeles. They play in Siberia because, the place is so far removed from everything that it takes you like a day to get there. And then you get there and you got, a 30,000-seat soccer stadium at the Honda Center or whatever it's called. I can't even think what it's called. Matty B, you might remember when your days back at 1090, that's where the Galaxy played their soccer games, the LA Galaxy of the MSL. Steelers in the 49ers. I waited, 49 minutes for your opinion in regard. I do have an opinion on this game here, but I will toss it over to you, Bob Hutton, to kick it off. Matty B will be on deck, and Tommy will be in the hole. 1, 2, and 3. Pittsburgh 49ers opened up as a pick. 46.5 to total. This game has gone San Francisco 6.5 and 44. What do you have?
Well, Rudolph's going to start for him at quarterback. Ben's out for the season. Felix, I just go back to what I said last week, and I've watched this team play now for 2 weeks, and I just don't see it. They've got too many holes on defense to go ahead and stop anybody. The spread's only 6.5 right now. I think San Francisco, this is their first home game. They won 2 on the road. They come back. They could go 3-0. They're defensively, they're much better than they've been in recent years. And offensively, we know they finally got their quarterback back from injury, and Garoppolo's looked better. I think San Francisco is a lock in here. This would be my best bet of the day.
A lock? Mute.
Yeah.
Wade Taylor.
Whoa.
Wade Taylor inside the studio. Can you mute Wade Taylor? Can you mute Bob Hutton?
No.
He said lock, San Francisco. Are you
Bob's
hurting?
been on fire, Felix.
Yeah, but he's a lock. I'm sorry. You could say, okay, I give it, San Francisco 49ers an edge. But he said a lock. Come on.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to find out later tonight. But, all right, Matty B, come to my defense. Do the Steelers have any opportunity to win here up in Santa Clara?
Do they have? Of course they do. Of course, because we still don't know what the 49ers are. Look, this is the first time the 49ers have scored 30-plus points in their first 2 games since their heyday of the 80s and 90s. And they looked really good last week. Like Bob said, in week 1 against Tampa Bay, they didn't look good. Tampa Bay lost that game more than San Francisco won that game, but it is a win on the road. Last week in Cincinnati, the Niners were clicking on all cylinders. Every single one of their 5,000 running backs looked great, because, God, they got a lot of running backs. And Jimmy Garoppolo looked very good and very comfortable back there running this offense. So there's a lot of reason to believe in the Niners. I personally believe a lot in Mason Rudolph. I loved watching him at Oklahoma State. I think he's got great size. He's got great arm strength. He's got great, great precision with his passes as well. The offensive weapons that we're seeing from the Steelers are still having some issues. Connor's a little bit banged up, so it might be Samuel taking the role. But the Niners have looked really, really good. Am I going to say it's a lock? No, but am I going to disagree with a man who's missed on like 1 game in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season? No, I am not. I am going to take the Niners to win this game. I'm not going to say it's a lock, but I'm not going to disagree with Mr. Hutton over there, who's missed on like games in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me, Matty B. I was kind of getting really excited.
No, not Mr. The Eagles are going to score 9 points in the Super Bowl. Felix Taverna.
Or Steelers first week of the season.
Yeah, you guys don't forget, do you? You have long memories, huh?
Oh no, the internet never forgets.
Let me tell you something, guys. Okay, the Steelers are going up there and they're going to beat the 49ers. This is the Steelers' season.
Yeah,
this is where the trap comes in. Okay, play San Francisco as your best bet. Go ahead. Bob Hutton's been in fuego and he's been hotter than the sun. But go ahead. Play San Francisco. I dare you to play San Francisco today. I'll dare you, Tommy D, Matty B, Tommy Hutt, Wade Taylor. I'm telling you right now, the Steelers go into Santa Clara and they beat the 49ers outright because this is their season. Okay? They cannot go 0-3. They will come back with a victory tonight or today, this afternoon, 125. You can take it to the bank. Final game. We got about a minute left. The Rams and the Browns tonight.
I love the Rams. I don't think Cleveland's that good. I think the Rams' offense, defense are going to be much better than Cleveland today. This would be my pick, the Rams today.
All right. Matty B, 52 seconds and counting. What do you have?
The only way the Rams lose this game is if Jared Goff forgets how to quarterback. We've seen it happen a couple times, but no, the Browns' defense is still shaky. They've given up way too many points, and the Rams score at will when they want to, and I think they're going to want to. They have all the offensive weapons to do it. Got to go with the Rams.
All right. Bobby Hutton, 30 seconds. You have it. What do you have?
Over 47. The Cleveland won't stop the Rams on offense, and they'll put some points on the board. I see this as a high-scoring game.
All right. Best bet, Tommy D, first to you. Who's your best bet?
I'm going with the Bills.
All right, the Bills plus?
It's -6.5.
-6.5. Matty B, what do you have?
I told you I'd go with them EAGLES, Eagles.
All right, Bobby Hutton, your best bet, the 49ers?
Pittsburgh Steelers. No, I'm just kidding you.
You guys all laugh, okay? You laugh? Call me at 3 o'clock this afternoon and see if you're laughing then, okay? I'm counting you.
Okay, well, I got to stick with the 49ers just because you've been so you're so overcommitted. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, you got this is our whole season. Hey, look, we're out. We'll see you next weekend, Saturday. I want to thank Bobby Hutton, Matty B, Tommy D. I'm Felix Taverna, Wade Taylor, WS Radio, Big Bet, where we are. If you're not winning, then you're not listening. And if you're losing, you're not listening. Big Bet, WS Radio, every weekend, 8 to 9 o'clock, right here on the WS Radio Network. Hey, with this hot weather, cool off at the Del Mar Poseidon. That's right, for a great lunch or dinner along the Big Blue. Enjoy the Del Mar Poseidon, where the elegance, the romanticism, and the air from the Pacific Ocean will make you feel 100% better. It's the Del Mar Poseidon, located in Del Mar on the beach, for lunch or dinner anytime, any day. Hi, this is Felix Taverna, Racing Sports Radio. Often, people ask me, where's the best hamburger in town? It's at Chief's Burgers and Brew, right across from the train depot in Solana Beach. My boys over there know how to make a hamburger. Plus, you can get all the craft and local beers. You can watch all the sporting events from coast to coast in an environment so close to the beach that you'll feel the water. For the best burger in town, it's Chief's Burgers and Brew in Solana Beach. Speaka, still the talk of the town. Feel the warm sun while watching the Pelicans sail over the Del Mar coast. Look over our award-winning menu for that special dish to share with your group of friends. Search for that bottle of wine from our Wine Spectator Award-winning list or a cocktail from our full bar to complement your dining experience. Speaka, 215 15th Street in Del Mar. Dinner every night from 5 p.m. Donovan's Chop and Steakhouse, 2 locations downtown in the Gas Lamp in their new location, and that's in La Jolla, in the Village. Donovan's, for the upscale dining experience unlike any other. It's Donovan's. 2 locations downtown in the Gas Lamp and on Prospect in La Jolla. Being the best means being the best. And the best happens to be Donovan's. Donovan's Chop and Steakhouse, downtown or in La Jolla.
Everyone knows you need an edge to win at the races, and with a no-fee ExpressBet account, you get advantages other services lack. ExpressBet has a customizable interface, fast transactions, easy navigation, enhanced video quality, convenient multi-view, reliable insider advice, and more tracks, period. Open an account now and earn a $125 bonus the very next day. No tricks, traps, or fine print. It's the best deal out there, and it's waiting for you. Enjoy playing the races online, by phone, or via mobile devices with no-fee ExpressBet, and quit paying those pesky per-wager fees. Visit ExpressBet.com today for complete details, to open an account, and to collect an immediate $125 KISS. Or call 1-866-7737 to speak with a helpful customer service representative. ExpressBet. It's your way to play.
Account wagering is not permitted in all states. National Problem Gambling Support Line, 1-800-522-4700.